What's happening, everybody out there, to another week of Family Chats? You guys know what time it is, where sports brings the family together. I'm the dad and the uncle, Freddie Rivera. Got my boy here, Giovanni. Say what's up.
What is up, everybody? What's up, YouTube? What's up, SoundCloud? What's up, Instagram? What's up, Facebook? What is up, everybody?
That's a lot of bodies, but everybody, thanks for tuning in, joining, ask questions. We want this to be very interactive, obviously, with Instagram, Facebook. Got my nephew Angel, who's away in St. Pete, playing ball, continuing the dream. Hopefully he's having a great week out there, just hitting the ball. Well, I heard he was doing very well, hitting 400.
He'll be back next week.
Yeah, he should be back next week joining us.
What's up, Carl?
Peace to everybody out there. But hey, man, another week of sports, and we're going to start off right away talking the Super Bowl and preview what we saw, what everybody thought, what your thoughts are of the Super Bowl. Anybody pick the Eagles? What was your thoughts on that? And it's a pretty good Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah, that's as Cowboys fans, that is what we were hoping for. That's really it. Nobody didn't really care for either team to win, really, but as long as it was a good game, wasn't hard to watch. You know, that's what you go for if you're not a fan of either team. So,
well, talk to yourself, man. I was hoping it was a 3 overtime, draw at the end of it. But yeah, it was a great game. Definitely kept us on our seats, and good offensive game. The defense decided not to show up. So,
I mean, there was a ton of Patriots. You asked them about the game, all they said was, "Hey, at least it was a good game." You know,
Yeah.
I'm really upset. So.
Think about it. I mean, the thing that amazed me, and there are probably a lot of you guys out there, what's up, everybody that's joining in? Hope you guys are having a great weekend. But recapping the Super Bowl, the thing that amazed me looking back at the whole thing was Brady had probably his best Super Bowl ever in terms of stats and performance.
Easily.
505 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 receivers caught for over 100 yards. If you tell me that before the game, you think this is a blowout game, and you go back, you say, well, the Eagles don't even have a shot. But that's how good the Eagles offense played, that they matched the Patriots. The Eagles defense didn't show up in the second half until it counted. But in the first half, I must say, a few times when we were saying Eagles need to hold the Patriots to field goals, they did early on in the game. And that, at the end of the day, was the key. They couldn't hold them to field goals in the second half, but Foles continued to match Brady. Every time Brady came down, the Eagles offense just, counterpunched.
And I mean, listen, I said it from the beginning, I said it from the jump. I said, if the Eagles are gonna win, Nick Foles has to play out of his mind. And what did he do? He seemed to play out of his mind. I mean, just a different player, different football player. Now that the Super Bowl's over and the season's over, what's next for Nick Foles? What do you think?
Yeah, what do you guys think for Nick Foles? You Philly fans, Todd, what do you think? I believe that Nick Foles will, I think the Eagles have a team where Nick Foles understood his role. He understood his role coming into the season. He understood his role when Wentz went out. And he still understands that even after winning the Super Bowl, he could go and play and start for another team. I don't think he's going to demand that. I think he loves playing in Philly. I think he's been a starter before. I believe he understands, what it means to be on a team like this where he just played his role and everybody else did during the year. And I think he loved that. I think he understands, and they got a good relationship. I think he understands Wentz is the quarterback. And who knows, I don't know with Wentz's injury if he will even be ready to start the year. So Foles might be the starting quarterback to start next year anyway. So.
I mean, you never know, though, because he has 1 more year left. So, I mean, if he wants to get paid like a Super Bowl winning quarterback, you kind of have to play. So,
yeah, listen, if it's all about money, and this is about the time Foles, obviously, if he's thinking about his future, he can play 1 more year. And if he starts out next year, right, think about it, if Wentz is still hurt and he needs 3 or 4 games, and Foles comes out and he's 3-0, 4-0, that's where the Philly, right? That's where the coach is really going to have a tough decision. how do we take Foles out? He wins the Super Bowl. He starts off 3-0 or 4-0. How do we bring Wentz back into the starting position? That's going to be something to think about if that happens. A good problem to have if you're Philly. Anybody wants that, but as I see Merkle's comments, if Foles stays, you risk a split. The locker room does something the Eagles do not need. I agree. Todd, who's an Eagles fan, believe he stays as well. I do too. I just think they just have a great. Obviously, this is what I think carried the Eagles and what I liked. Why I picked the Eagles going into this Super Bowl was a lot about how they liked playing with each other, how they had a brotherhood in that locker room of next man up, we got your back, and they really, really had it. When you see videos of that team, they really had this camaraderie and this brotherhood of we can still win the Super Bowl. Even when Wentz went out, that was a tough injury to suffer for the team. But the team still believed that they can win without Wentz, which is hard to believe, but they believed it. Nobody else did in the NFL. Nobody else, no professionals, nobody else believed that but them. And they carried that mentality through the playoffs. And as they got a little momentum, when they beat the Falcons after being the underdogs, and then they romped past the Vikings.
After being the underdogs.
Yeah, after being the underdogs.
And then beating Tom Brady and the Patriots as the underdogs. I mean, that was an amazing run for the Eagles fans. I'm sure they're happy. Maybe not if you live in Philly, city all torn up. But let's ask this question. Tom Brady, after throwing over 500 yards, setting the most postseason yards, having that record now, how much does he have left in the tank?
After that performance, you almost think like he's got 5 more years left. I mean, the guy seems ageless, and after the Patriots believe he still has several years left. They traded Garoppolo, obviously, something they really didn't want to do, and you can see why they didn't want to do it. They knew they had something there that could carry this team for another 10 years. But I think Brady can play as long as he wants, and now with Garoppolo gone, there's not going to be any pressure for him to leave.
I mean, if I'm being honest, and now I truly think how many years he has left, maybe 2, maybe.
Yep. Merkman says 2 to 4. Probably right around there. The way he's playing, if he stays healthy, I believe he's got a couple more years.
I just don't know. I mean, you look at him, and you obviously see that how well he played in the Super Bowl and how everything went down, but I don't know. I just don't think he has the 4 to 5 years that he thinks he probably has. Because I mean, that team is just it's a team. It's not just him. So.
No, it's true. I think when you had Belichick and Brady together, I think like you said, the best combination of quarterback and coach ever. You can't doubt these guys anymore. They seem to just plug people in. The cap doesn't mean anything to the Patriots. They're the one organization that continues to win year after year after year. Unbelievable job that they continue to do, just plugging people in. But after watching the defense play so bad in the Super Bowl, you would think that's going to be their goal next year is to, kind of fix that, because you can't have Brady throwing 500 yards in the Super Bowl with 3 touchdowns. He pretty much played almost perfect in the second half, besides the fumble where you thought he was going to go and drive them down for a winning touchdown again, because he was 3 for 3. 3 times he got the ball in the second half, 3 drives for touchdowns. So who knows?
I mean, you were watching the game and you were like, okay, this is where they're going to come back and win the game.
Yeah.
And for that, I don't remember the defensive lineman's name, but for him to strip Brady, and basically you knew it was the Eagles' year. Once that happened, I mean, you knew that was probably the game. But let's move along real quick. Obviously, season just ended, but we're gonna look ahead to next year, and we're gonna give our playoff predictions for the division winners of next year. So we have a lot to choose from. Obviously, 8 teams winning the division. Let's go ahead and start in the NFC.
Quick, who do you guys think? And John, you're right. Still came down to the last play in that Super Bowl, which is true. It's unbelievable how most of these Patriot Super Bowls came to either a field goal or just the end of the game. They never had a Super Bowl win that was a blowout or anything. Every Super Bowl seemed to be close with them. But going to
let's go. Let's start with the NFC East.
NFC
with the
East,
Super Bowl
right,
champions.
with the Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, and you got to make them the favorite. Even as a Cowboys fan, I believe it's a tough division no matter how you look at it. The Eagles will be obviously the favorites. You got the Cowboys who will come back and, they need obviously to fix some gaps, but obviously if Zeke is healthy, Dak's healthy, they'll compete with that offensive line. But here's the team that I think you still have to look at is the Giants. The Giants have, if their receivers come back healthy, Odell Beckham and Manning, and they do what they need to do and solidify that offensive line with the offensive pieces they have, they'll make the NFC East tough too. So obviously it's hard for me to go against the Cowboys with the Eagles winning.
They just picked up Alex Smith.
Yeah, the Redskins just picked up Alex Smith. You got some more, right? You got more stability at the quarterback position, but I think the Redskins are the last place team if you ask me. But my pick will be just because I don't like the Eagles. I think the Cowboys are going to come back, frustrated and more passionate than ever, knowing that the team that they were supposed to beat this year, the Eagles, won the Super Bowl. So I'm going to say the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East next year.
So you're going to say the Cowboys over the Super Bowl champion Eagles?
Yes.
Now I'm going to honestly, I'm going to second that because listen, Carson Wentz is going to be hurt for the first couple games, and I just don't think that Foles plays as well as he does this year.
They're going to have a Super Bowl lag. They're going to be partying all year long, all winter long, all summer long. Todd and everybody else from Philly, y'all going to have a hangover from this Super Bowl.
I just don't think the Eagles are going to come out with as much fire to the beginning of next year, and that's going to hurt them towards the end of the year. And I feel like the Cowboys have that chip on their shoulder, and I feel like with Zeke having no issues and Jason Garrett being on his last leg,
they either win or Garrett's gone.
That's it. So I feel like with him having to have that or he's done, I feel like the Cowboys are the favorite for next year. It's hard to say that, and I know it's biased.
Yeah, because you know why? Because
I just feel like there was a lot of problems this year.
Yeah, no,
coming from 13-3 the year before.
I'm with you. I know a lot of people are, they laugh, you're either Cowboys hater or lover, but listen, we know what the Cowboys can be. They have the talent, and there's still a lot of holes, right? There's some free agents. No one knows what's going to happen in free agency. No one knows who's going to be healthy starting the year. But if we're talking right now, yeah, I believe the Cowboys still could have competed even at the end of the year. The biggest issue they had was obviously the whole Zeke debacle all year, him not being here. That became a big issue for them. But I believe that the Eagles will definitely, with that team, will still compete. I think the Cowboys will compete. I think the Giants will come back and compete. The NFC East will be a tough division again.
So I got a comment right here.
Yes.
From C.J. Burek. He says Garrett isn't on his last leg. He is Jerry Jones's
puppet. Well,
puppet.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Garrett is his puppet, but the fans are the ones that are demanding, and the fans are going to run Garrett out if he does not win next year.
If he falls short again, we're definitely tired. I was tired this year. I was ready.
Listen. As a Cowboys fan, I was calling for he had to go, and there's reason why.
It was obvious I
Garrett
felt like he had to go because the team.
Obviously. We go back to a couple of years when and not only last year because you go all right. Well, Zeke and the problems with, but I go back to the year before that when they had home field advantage. They played the Packers. They couldn't win that game against the Packers, and that wasn't the only time. 2 years before that, they had the home field advantage. Romo, they had a great year. They couldn't win in the playoffs. There's only so many chances you give coaches. I just think that it's about time that they change. You bring a Belichick type to coach the Cowboys, and the Cowboys over the last 5 to 10 years would have looked like the Patriots with the talent they had on the field. That's why frustration from the Cowboys. It's all coaching to me because if you put a Belichick on a team like the Cowboys with the talent that they've had over the years, you're talking about a different team. You look at Belichick with Brady and then just putting pieces in constantly, that team continues to win. And I believe coaching is a big difference just because of the way I look at the Patriots.
Now let's move on. So we both have the Cowboys for the NFC East. Let's move to the NFC West.
All right. I'm going to Todd says, hey, we're happy if you keep Garrett. Yeah, Eagles fans are happy if we keep Garrett. I was like, y'all can have him. But, yeah, he's on his last leg. And obviously they've made some coaching changes and we'll see how it happens. So we're gonna go to
So the NFC West, I'm going to go ahead and go first. I believe that
NFC
my
West.
surprise pick, the Rams won this year. I'm going to go ahead and switch it up. I'm going to go ahead and say the 49ers win the division next year.
I knew
The
you were gonna pick that.
49ers with Garoppolo, they went last 5 games they won. I'm saying the 49ers keep playing like that. Garoppolo has the biggest contract in NFL history.
The teams you have in that division are the 49ers, the Rams, the Seahawks, and who else?
It's a tough division, but
Well, the other team probably doesn't even matter because when you're talking about the Seahawks and the Rams and the year they're having with that young talent, I definitely see a much better team with the 49ers with Garoppolo in the year, and they're just going to be hyped. They're ready to play next year with that quarterback leading the team. They're going to have a great year. But it's hard for me to say the Rams with that QB and running back.
Arizona's the other team.
Gonna
Arizona,
play
yeah,
very well.
Arizona.
So the Arizona Cardinals is the other
They're-
team. I don't see it, but
They need a better coach, but I'm going with the 49ers. I feel like Garoppolo gives that team a whole nother. It gives them a whole nother level of play. That's all they needed. They needed a good quarterback. They got their quarterback.
yeah, it's amazing what
And I
a
feel like
good
they're
quarterback does.
I feel like they're going to go on a run. I mean, watch out for the Rams. The Rams are going to be good for a long time. So,
Yeah, those two teams are going to battle.
and I feel
it
like the
out.
Seahawks, they hit their peak and they're on their way down. I mean, Russell Wilson still played very well this year, but I feel like
Russell Wilson just got
I
signed
feel like
by
their
the Yankees.
defense. I feel like their defense is going down fast.
Russell Wilson just got signed by the Yankees, so he'll be in spring training. We'll see if we can check him out. But yeah, no, I agree. I think the Seahawks will still compete because of Russell Wilson. You saw this year how even with a depleted team,
The
he
Legion
still
of
plays
Boom.
very well.
The Legion of Boom just isn't as booming
Yeah,
anymore.
but when you got a quarterback like that just makes plays happen, he'll compete. That'll be a tough team. So they'll continue to compete. But yeah, I like the Rams still to win that division. Let's go to the next division.
Next division. Let's go ahead and move.
Let's go to the NFC South.
That's a
Right?
good one.
That was the toughest division this year with the Panthers, the Saints, right? Both made the playoffs. The Falcons, all three made the playoffs, and the Bucks,
Who were
who
5-11.
were supposed to make the playoffs. The way they got these receivers. They had a great offensive core. They drafted the tight end from Alabama. Everybody thought this is where they turned things around.
So I'm gonna give you my pick real quick.
Your pick
It's
is
another dark horse. I gotta say it. We're close to Tampa. I'm going with the Bucks. I feel like they came very close this year to success.
they did.
They were in the game last minute. I feel like Jameis Winston pushes them to the next level next year. I feel like the Bucks get into the playoffs. I feel the Falcons are gonna come in second. I feel like the Saints are gonna.
Falcons.
I think the Falcons are gonna find their way.
I kind of like the Saints. I like the way they ended the year. I like their balance. They didn't just rely just heavily on quarterback. So I do. That's a tough division. You got 4 really good teams. So but I do like what the Saints did. They got a experienced coach who's been a Super Bowl winner. They got a quarterback, a Super Bowl winner, and they didn't rely on the quarterback this year. They were very balanced. Had a great offensive attack. I think if they come back next year, their defense is getting better. I think the Saints will be the favorite to win that division, if you ask me.
We have a comment. Can't sleep on the Panthers. Obviously not. Can't sleep on the Panthers, but I just don't feel like they have enough.
All right.
Cam Newton just doesn't do it for me like he did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
When he
No,
went to
totally.
the Super Bowl.
I get it with Newton. He's just, hit or miss. I got, Greg, he's agreeing with you. He's a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, so Todd likes the Falcons next year. I didn't like what I saw out of the Falcons this year after being Super Bowl winners.
Yeah.
I mean, they started to play well, but they were just all year. They started to play. You thought they were going to be better. They went to the Rams and upset the Rams. So, they have a quarterback there who's experienced, and that's the thing you look at that division. They got quarterbacks.
I mean,
Every team has a
the thing about
quarterback.
the Falcons is they have a young defense. They have a good quarterback. They have great wide receivers. They just didn't put it together. I mean,
Yeah, it was just weird how they didn't put it together.
They couldn't win.
That's true. It just seemed like they couldn't get a rhythm. Even when they won, they were just barely winning. They weren't dominant. They were just scrappy at the end, and they did enough to get into the playoffs, so you got to give them credit. Angel, thanks for the love. And for everyone tuning in, We call this show Family Chats, where sports brings the family together. Again, I'm Freddie Rivera, the dad and the uncle, my boy Giovanni Rivera, and Angel Garcet, my nephew, who's usually a part of the show. He's in St. Pete, following his dream to become a baseball player. Had an opportunity to play over there in a week, an invitation with a lot of minor, what would you call them, prospects? A lot of prospects out there in St. Pete. So, hoping Angel does very well. I heard he was doing very well this week, batting 400. This week hitting the ball very hard, and praying and hoping that his dream comes true. He's fighting and he's working hard. So we believe that the opportunity will come soon. But thanks for joining us. We're talking football, and let's go into the AFC
North. No, NFC North. We're not done yet.
One more, NFC North.
The Vikings, the Lions.
Vikings, Lions, Packers, and
who cares? They're not good. I'm going with the Packers. The Packers are going to be back.
Rodgers healthy is going to be hard.
They're going to be back.
Who do you guys like in that division?
Listen, the Packers are going to be back. Aaron Rodgers is the problem. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. They couldn't win. They couldn't find a game. I feel like with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, the Packers are going to win the division. And
I hate Aaron Rodgers.
I don't like him either, but he's
a Cowboy fan. He's killed us, and he is that good that even with a team that he didn't even have a good team last year, he went into Dallas and beat them. So I thought this year fell right into our lap, and the Eagles took advantage of it with no Rodgers in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. So it is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you. Rodgers healthy, they would have won that division. Well, the Vikings were good.
I like the Vikings, but that last game they played was.
Yeah, but their defense is much better than that. They had one bad loss, but I'm gonna stay with the Vikings because I think the Vikings got a young quarterback who, with experience now, is going into his second year. Not a lot of pressure on that kid because their defense is that good.
Their defense is that good.
Yeah, the Eagles made them look bad as one game, but overall, when you look at them overall,
they had the top defense last year, so it's hard to go against that. And the Lions, how do you feel about the Lions?
Nah, the Lions just they got a quarterback, but it's
weird
good how they have a quarterback and they just can't seem to put things together. So I like the Vikings and I like Green Bay to make it tough.
All right, let's go into the
my old Coach Block. He likes the Bears. What do you think about the Bears in that division?
No,
they actually they had a rookie quarterback.
They had a rookie quarterback, but
there's a little hope.
There's
nothing around that coach.
Nothing around him yet.
Yeah,
give him a couple years.
All right.
I like the young quarterback, but
yeah, it's gonna be hard to defeat Rodgers and the Vikings, who's still young and will compete with that defense.
So let's move into the other half of the Super Bowl. Let's go into the AFC East with the Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, Jets.
Do you guys see any of the teams in that AFC East getting any better? The Jets, the Bills, who played tough this year. The Dolphins played tough this year. But I'm going to say no. I mean, Brady and Belichick, just the division is theirs. As long as they're healthy, they're going to win. And even when they weren't healthy, Brady was out 4 games last year. They went 3-1. So, until somebody else can prove us wrong, the Patriots are just going to win that division again. There's no one to challenge him. You're right. I know, Mr. Bragg, you're a Pats fan, so I get it. But I don't think the Jets did very well this year. They'll have some draft picks and some decisions to make there. They're a young team defensively, but I just think they're still long off. And the Bills, same thing.
Bills need a quarterback. I like the Bills, but the Bills need a quarterback. The Bills, they were switching with Tyrod Taylor and the other guy. It seemed like they didn't have confidence in Tyrod Taylor.
They don't.
Obviously, he's not an elite quarterback, but he was good enough to win games
it's weird.
And it's like they didn't have their full confidence in him. They benched him one game just to play the other guy, just to get that guy some games.
Think about the whole AFC. I just think the AFC just, I mean, what team are you going to talk about but the Patriots this year? I mean, look at the playoffs and you go.
I mean, you have teams like the Texans who got hurt, and obviously the Steelers who got upset, but I don't know. I like some teams in the AFC, but obviously it's still the Patriots.
As Todd says, the Patriots are 9-2 favorites to win the Super Bowl. This is the Vegas odds already. What can you say, right? I mean, they've been there 8 times, and with that combination, so obviously they're the favorites to get back and do it again. So the older Brady gets, hopefully we'll start seeing them waning away and moving to another stratosphere, the opposite side. So
let's go
let's
to the
go
West.
the other one.
The West, I'm going with another dark horse who played well the year before. I'm going with the Raiders over the Chiefs.
Because of Chucky?
Raiders got a new coach.
Chucky. What do you guys think? You like the Raiders?
They got a new coach, and they still have what's his name at quarterback? Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be honest. But with the quarterback,
with the Raiders quarterback.
I don't remember his
have
name.
all info, but either way, you have the Raiders, you have the Chiefs, you have the Broncos, and you have the Chargers in that division. So, I know what you're saying. They signed him to a long-term contract.
I like him. They have the wide receivers. So I like the Raiders.
Yeah.
I feel like they have a good team. They got the new coach who's been to the Super Bowl before, who has that experience. I'm going with the Raiders over the Chiefs and the Broncos.
And the Chiefs, they traded away their quarterback. What are they going to do?
They're
helping you out.
Carr, yeah, thank you.
Thanks for helping
God,
out.
man, I cannot think today about this stupid. The NFL's over, all right?
Yeah.
We're going.
Our mindset is
done.
on baseball. We're so excited for baseball that we're trying to finish up our football discussion.
But yeah, I like Carr. I like the pieces they have in Oakland.
I think it'll be exciting.
They played super well the year before, and it was just a disappointing
year.
It's true.
Disappointing. I think with the coach, Chucky there, I think it'll bring a lot of excitement to Raider Nation. The Chiefs, I don't know what the Chiefs are doing. What are they doing quarterback?
They have a young kid.
They have a young guy. They have confidence.
They have a young kid, and they feel like he's ready to play. So
they're confident. And listen, they got some good defensive pieces on that trade with the Redskins. So
I think the Chiefs will be better than they were.
I think the Chiefs will be tougher. They got offensive pieces. They'll be better on defense. The Broncos will be the Broncos. They're just missing a quarterback, which I believe they'll go out and get. And then you got the Chargers, who made a good rush this year. So
Chargers are not good.
John and Todd, they both like the Raiders as well this year, along with you. So they agree with you. I'm gonna say the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs will come back. I think they had just a disappointing second half. When you look at Andy Reid and the Chiefs, they were the best teams after the first 5 to 6 games. Think about it. They dominated the Patriots. They went to New England and dominated them. And you thought the Chiefs were going to be the team to take the Pats out, and they just wore out in the end of the second half. And you think about it, the Chiefs were the only team to beat the Super Bowl, both Super Bowl teams. They beat the Eagles in a tough game, probably in Game 4 or Game 5, and they beat the Pats in a dominating fashion early on, and then they wore out. But you're right, John. Typical Andy Reid. It's like, it just fizzles at the end. He's going to win you enough games to maybe get you in the playoffs, and he's going to win games, but it's just going to only take you so far. So, yeah, I agree with you, but I think they'll win enough to win the division. It'll be the Chiefs and the Raiders, but that's a tough division as well.
You still riding with the Patriots in the North? I think.
It's hard to go. It's hard to go against the Patriots.
I mean the Steelers.
Oh, the Steelers going to the North. Steelers, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and who else is that? Houston in that division?
No. And the North is the Ravens.
The Ravens. So does anybody see the Steelers being knocked off? I definitely don't see. Well, Cincinnati surprisingly kept their coach, so they just constantly disappoint. That
Cincinnati
division
is not good.
The only team in that division I would ever have any hope for is the Ravens, with their coaching staff maybe winning. So
the Steelers I feel like they don't have a lot of competition. I mean, the Ravens are good. Let's not get that confused. The Ravens
they got a quarterback. They're
solid.
They got a Super Bowl quarterback and a Super Bowl coach. So they'll be there. The difference, I think, is do the Browns finally make it out? Do you think the Browns will come out? Implosion year for the Steelers, Merklin says. Big Ben and coach gone by year's end. I think Big Ben is at the end of his career too. He wanted, he talked about retiring. He says he's coming back. but they got pieces. They got probably the best receiver, the best running back on that team. So they have pieces there. But you're right. I think they're getting sick and tired of each other, and you saw that at the end of this year. So I'm looking to do the Cleveland Browns have enough?
No.
They have a lot of draft picks coming up this year again. Will they start to turn it around? They might be a year or two away.
Every year.
Yeah, but I like what they have. I think you'll see. This is what I'm going to say. The Browns will win some games.
Let's go over under. Over under. Over under. Do they win 5 games?
The Browns?
Browns.
No, I think if I would have picked the number, it'd probably be 5. So, and that's on the high side. And that all starts to me is, will they get a quarterback? They have no quarterback. So if they can go out and get themselves a quarterback, I think it'll stabilize them. But we'll see. They can get one of the top ones. They have one of the top draft picks. Everybody says under for the Cleveland Browns.
So they're
like the Pats. They're
they didn't win one game. Side. They didn't win one game this year. How could you go over 5?
Call them the Charlie Browns.
How could you go over 5? They didn't win.
Yeah,
one
it's
game
hard to go over 5 when you have the Steelers and you have Cincinnati. Let's go into the
last division, AFC South.
AFC South.
Jags.
The Jags and Titans made the playoffs.
The Jags and Titans. The
And
Titans aren't good, but
you have Houston who had some injuries, right? And then you have the Colts, obviously. So if the Colts, they got a new coach. Who did they sign? The Colts signed offensive coordinator.
But he didn't go.
No, not the
Patriots.
Not the Patriots today. They signed the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. The offensive coordinator for the Eagles signed a 5-year deal with the Colts today. So Frank Reich, who was a former backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, the 4-time Super Bowl losing Bills, so he knew what it was like to have a backup quarterback, and he helped the Eagles win that Super Bowl. So good for him. Got a great opportunity. He's going over there to the Colts, and you never know. It all depends on.
Well, like I said, I'm going with the Texans in the South. I like Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to lead that team.
Deshaun Watson.
If he gets back, I'm going with the Texans. If not, I still like the Jags. That division's that's gonna be a good division.
Yeah, I like the Jags to continue.
The Titans are no slouch, but I mean they're just not good enough to compete with the bigger
Jags.
teams.
I think the Jags. Merklin likes Watson too. We like Watson and what he did. Will he come back healthy after that injury? I don't know, but I like what the Jags are doing. I like because their defense is just tough.
I would like the Jags more if they decided to draft another quarterback.
Nah, I think the quarterback did fine. I think he carried them to a few wins.
Or if they try to trade
and I think
Cousins.
He'll get better. I think Kirk Cousins is another question mark. Who's going to sign Cousins now? I think the Browns can get him. I think the Browns is a good team.
The Browns would never get him. They're not good enough to win one game.
I think the Jets are a good team. I think the Broncos are a good team. So Kirk Cousins has a lot of options on his hands. I think Broncos are probably a good fit for him. A team that he can win with right now.
Whatever. Let's move on. Let's move on from the NFL. NFL's
over.
Done? We're done
with the NFL?
We're done talking about the NFL. The NFL.
Brooklyn says Foles.